Hey Paisanos, it's Rice Farmer Dragon here. Labyrinth of the Demon King is a first-person biohazard simulator where you play as literally a nobody. You are an Ashigaru, a Japanese foot soldier of the Sengoku Jidai, who was most likely ripped straight from the rice fields to fight in some war that the local rice field owner or daimyo felt a strong cause for. Most likely this local rice field owner craved the seat of Shogun, the military leader of Japan and the absolutely subservient servant of the Supreme Emperor, and of course in no way the absolute power of Japan. In Labyrinth of the Demon King, your daimyo was tricked, backstabbed, and quite possibly bamboozled by the local Mao-sama into full sending his entire army into the Shogun 2 Total War AI Doomstack meat grinder. You are the sole survivor of your daimyo's full send no balls charge into the demon Doomstack, and your daimyo sacrificed his life for you to escape and wished for you to live a long, happy, and fulfilling life back in the rice fields. However, as a Giga Chad Bushido practitioner, you forsake your life of peace in order to drown in the life of vengeance against the Demon Lord. You vow to slay the Mao-sama and rip and tear any yokai who stand in your way. Being an Ashigaru, a literal peasant rice farmer warrior, you aren't even close to matching any of the legendary samurai warriors of your era, and as such, walking to the Labyrinth of the Demon King, you get knocked out immediately and wake up to find yourself at the mercy of a strange fellow. It's an absolutely adorable undead ninja palico, complete with authentic cat purring and paw waving. The palico apologizes for its attempt to reutilize your meat Rimworld style for a better purpose. It gives you your katana back, allows you to take some sake as a gomenasai, and tells you to practice tameshigiri on this yokai associate of theirs before you march forward onto death and die like a nail hammered into a coffin. We can absolutely trust this guy. After bidding farewell to your sensei and leaving the dojo, you stumble into the ancient ritual of yobai between two lovers engaging in shibari vor. We wade through the Craigslist septic tank man's gooner dream and climb up a bucket to meet the first yokai waifu.
You so fucking precious when you smile.
Tsumime-sen, I can see you're grieving over the loss of a loved one. But can you point me towards the local Mao-sama so I can beat the piss out of him for bamboozling my daimyo? Initially petrified with fear by our abyss-ending silence, she reluctantly gives the information to the psychotic rice farmer with a hard-on for vengeance. To enter the Demon King's abode, you must first pay a visit to the Demon King's 4 emotional support Tamodachis, defeat them, and then shoulder their burdens. In other words, beat the holy hell out of them and rob them of their belongings. After this, the Demon King's doors will open for you as you have now become the Demon King's BetterHelp therapist, prescribing the tried and true method of shungai healing and just walking it off. We can absolutely trust this gal. Entering into the castle, it's grungy, grimy, and goddamn does no one do any organization around here. Sake and random medicine bottles are just randomly lying around in crates. Find a medicine cabinet to put your antidotes in, you filthy troglodyte. We encounter some of the residents of the castle, 2 yokai who seem to be having a friendly, domestic conversation on who peed with the toilet bowl up and didn't wipe the piss splatters off the floor. Once they notice our intrusion onto their property, they rightfully get angry with us and invoke the castle doctrine with whatever self-defense tools they can acquire. These yokai will square up with an assortment of force multipliers, such as literal WWE doors and chairs, and the absolute Giga Chad catch these hands. These yokai don't mess around. They will beeline right to you to politely yet firmly ask you to leave, and they will even pull absolute goon energy strategies like hiding behind a corner and hoping you aren't ready for the door to the face.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Also, one of the best things about the yokais of the castle is that they hate everyone. They hate you, they hate themselves, and most importantly, they hate each other. They'll do everything in their demonic energy to put the fear of God in you and other yokais as they chase anyone down Unga Bunga style. As payment for their aggression on us, we take the gem of one of the yokais that graciously offered it from his head. Exploring around the residential area, we come across a yokai soliciting someone in the pantry. After telling the yokai to leave the pantry spears alone, we interact with the person in the pantry. It's a blacksmith, and he's been trapped by our palico friend, who, by the way, is a female. My mistake. The blacksmith pleads for our help, and in exchange, he'll help us with what I can only assume is blacksmithing services. We can absolutely trust this guy. Wasting no time, we follow the gurgling noises and otherworldly sounds and come across a yokai that seems to be doing the yobai. But, surprise, it's actually just our adorable undead Palico again, and she's acquiring materials from the local market to supplement her tea house, which she cordially invites us to visit should we have the time. What is she taking from the yokai? Well, sashimi for the tea house, revealing that she sells a variety of goods ethically sourced from the local area and residents. Sudimasen desu ka? Have you seen a key for the pantry? The adorable cannibal Palico tells us, why yes, I do have the key, and I intend to use the key for the Kappa meat ramen. If you want the key, let's make a deal. Stay away from the pantry, and I'll give you a delectable Kappa meat ramen, free of charge. Oh, you want to be the hero? Well, we can make that work. Why don't you visit the local Butsudan, an altar dedicated to housing religious objects like a statue for example, and borrow the statue and give it to me. Absolutely nothing can go wrong pilfering from a religious altar in a castle that reeks of negative feng shui. We can absolutely trust this gal. Beelining right for the statue because absolutely nothing can go wrong with this. We swipe her no swiping the statue and give it to our feline friend in exchange for the pantry key. Unlocking the pantry reveals just a little guy, a Kappa, who will help us, as we predicted, with weapon and armor repairs as long as we have Shirakodamas. The Kappa tells us it's small balls found within a human anus before saying, nah, never mind, it's TMI. Well, I'm here to explain it because lore. Kappas, which is what this little guy is, are tiny river yokais, often reptilian like a lizard or turtle. The primary thing that Kappas do is grab humans by the riverside and bring them underwater to extract the Shirakodama, a ball located in the anus or intestine. The extraction method the Kappa uses is either sticking their arm into the human to turn them into a popsicle or sucking through the rear sphincter scream extractor style. Back to the present, we let our little guy go on his way and get some salt in the process. Very cool. While things are looking up, our dirty deeds done dirt cheap are about to catch up to us. Meet Big Raga, the Op Stomper. Big Raga is a Nuribotoke yokai. Angry at the absolute disrespect for taking the statue from the Butsudan, Big Raga will chase you to the ends of the earth, ready to throw left, right, good night. You get no mercy from the Big Raga. Trying to parry him results in getting your entire skull smashed open. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. And it absolutely will not stop, ever, until it reaches a bump in the road. Big Raga will follow you anywhere except at small designated safety stairs and certain types of walls or elevations, either through intentional design choice of safety areas or just general pathing issues on tiny doors. Big Raga will more often than not get stuck and just bug out for the most part, letting you bully him until he drops down for a couple of seconds. Big Raga seems intimidating at first, but you'll quickly learn that he's just a little guy who follows you around because you stole his favorite toy. He's easily avoidable by running past him at Mach speed, or if you need to disable him for any reason, you can give him the circle business. Moving forward, we visit the most dilapidated basement to get shanked by the average Londoner, visit our Kappa friend, and also find a red gem inside some tunnels. Just a reminder for anyone with a home, water damage in the basement is no joke, and you should definitely get that checked out. We move on to the second floor where we solve a puzzle about who's guilty of poking out some kid's eyes. Spoiler, according to the Lord, they all are. And we are rewarded with another gem. Pro tip, if you're confused about who the crone is, it's the mother. On to the third floor, we commit animal abuse by fighting an immortal yokai raccoon dog called Fury, who, according to the lore, can only be dispatched with overwhelming blunt force trauma to the head. Curb stomping the Tanuki freak is a solution. Our friendly Palico tea house merchant shows up again, and who, as a reminder, we can absolutely trust, gives us a clue about a painting that contains a not-so-secret tunnel. As a show of good faith, she shanks the average Londoner for trying to step on her turf. Taking the tunnel, we get a big fuck-off hammer, and damn does it feel good to be gangster, clobbering the yokai's skulls in. To the tallest point of the Tower of Repetition, we approach the obviously not a boss room and encounter the first boss fight of the Labyrinth, Ubume, the coked-out meth head single mother. Everything in this fight is essentially, this is your brain on heroin. The music is absolutely wild, and Ubume runs at you like an amphetamine addict who's just taken a hit of a pound of bed bath salts and beyond. She wildly claws at you while holding her child, which, by the way, is both shield and sword for her. She uses the child's unremarkably strong skull to parry you, and when desperation sets in, she uses the child to Unga Bunga rock club your skull in. You could try to fight her like a true warrior of Bushido, or you could take a page from her book and trivialize pretty much any future fight. Unlock this secret technique of shungite shanking. Very simply, start your run to maximum speed. Run around the room like you've just taken a hit of bath salts and beyond, and slap the enemy like they owe you money. After a few minutes of two Cloud9 smokers fighting over the last dollar bill in a couch, we defeat Ubume and witness absolute cinema. She drops her baby, with the last of her life being dedicated to keeping the baby safe. Then, from the shadows, a frickin' Skaven rat man comes out of nowhere and scurries off with the child like a New York rat scoring pizza from the local Domino's. Again, absolute cinema. Taking the gem from the back rooms and samurai armor that is most definitely not meant for a lowly Ashigaru like you, we return to the base of the Tower of Repetition to solve the next puzzle of 4. Black, white, red, blue. Grab the Naginata after doing some impromptu renovations to the mess hall, and now out of the Tower of Repetition and into the freedom of choice. We step out of the tower and find a tea house, to which we have a moment of absolute clarity. We should visit considering the fact that we've probably been fighting non-stop for hours on end, being poisoned by annoying ass centipedes, bled dry by the London shanking midgets, and having our nose broken multiple times by the tavern brawling yokais and the big Raga Stompa. After all, it's either taking a potentially relaxing visit to the tea house or committing Sudoku with this nice tanto we found in a tree stump. The tea house is located in this hole. It's almost like this hole was made for me, and that this hole is my hole. With an unstoppable urge to enter our hole, we climb in to discover the most horrendous thing to exist in the Demon King's Labyrinth. Peace, clarity, serenity. This place is calm. There is no anger here, no rage, no violence. Just our friendly neighborhood business Palico and her husband, the blacksmithing Kappa. The tea house serves as a sanctuary away from all the horrors of the castle, complete with our undead Palico and the Kappa keeping their promises to providing us the best of their wares and services, such as repairing our broken katana and making the most overpowered weapon in the game, the Chrysanthemum Blade, as well as providing complimentary tea for us to relax and rest after our weary battles. Taking a moment to heed the Palico's instructions, we calmly kneel at the tea table, take 2 scoops of matcha, pour some boiling water in the chawan, and whisk it together for some perfectly made matcha to enjoy. We can absolutely trust them. After the calming cup of tea and some time meditating in the garden, the pulse of rage begins to flow. Our veins become consumed with hatred. We remember our quest to slay the Demon King for our lord and begin to climb out of the hole and travel to the bathhouse. In the bathhouse, we meet one of the more annoying enemies in the game, these stupid spider crawler guys. These guys aren't difficult at all, just they have fast attack speeds that can catch you in a cheeky damage loop and hit you with their vomit attack that gives you a poison chip damage status effect that lasts for a bit of time. And also, they have a suspiciously long tongue to body ratio that seems extremely yabai in the next scenario. Oh hey look, it's our yokai waifu, acting kawaii desu as ever. Surimasen desu ka? There was this weird thing out here trying to enact some Kyoho reformed repressed paraphernalia. I've gone ahead and ended his whole career as we don't welcome that type of harassment out here. She gratefully thanks us and gives us a tea house teleportation talisman, and sheepishly explains why she wasn't able to use the talisman to escape the potential impromptu struggle snuggle erotica session. You little baka. We're gonna do some rapid fire transitions here because the bathhouse puzzle is a long one and I want to get to the meat of the bathhouse, which is the boss fight. Ready? After doing a series of water inversions with some time continuity water pump systems, we finally get to the meat of the water temple. Get ready for the next boss, Nopeppo. Nopeppo, or as I refer to it as AsmonNurgle-San, is a poison-based boss with the ability to dead rat alarm clock you and give you the maggot sandwich right hook, as well as summon his besto friendo Cockroachapedes to aid him in grossing you the fuck out. His entire room is reminiscent of wiping dried blood from his gums thanks to the golden standard of oral hygiene, and AsmonNurgle-San is dead. Seriously, the Chrysanthemum Blade methodic slashing combo absolutely obliterated the boss. I literally had to watch the footage again to fully understand what happened. Basically, full charge sprinting heavy attacks took a huge chunk of health off of AsmonNurgle-San, and then he died of blood loss from his bleeding gums. After AsmonNurgle-San's demise, we raid his streamer room to find a Shirikodama and another Giga Chad blunt weapon, the Kanabo, which becomes an absolute great weapon later, and then further raid his never before used bathtubs to find a muddy Naginata axe and the legendary Nurgle Katana, complete with rotted rat enchantment etched into the blade. To finally end the bathhouse saga, we ask our waifu yokai to clean the AsmonNurgle weapons, but alas, she only has enough hand sanitizer to clean one streamer weapon. It's okay, we appreciate the effort of cleaning something from AsmonNurgle-San's room. The next tower is the jailhouse. This tower houses enemies of non-conventional sorts. The primary enemies you'll be facing are the hard homies, the Bone Zone, the Skelly Boys. These guys are the jump your ass crew. They come in multiples with batons and brooms to wombo combo you into the next shrine. They run fast, hit fast, and do not show any mercy. Not only do they assault your body like you owe them money, but they also assault your ears. I'm not 100% sure if it's intentional, but goddamn their soundbite is extremely overtuned. So, when you fight one, the only thing you'll be hearing is the attack sounds and yells. If you fight two or more, well, the only thing you'll be hearing is ringing, because goddamn, their soundbite just overrides everything. The only way to take them down is similar to the doggo, mass blunt force trauma, perhaps with your new Kanabo for starters. I will say, it's damn satisfying to whack two bone boys in a row with your massive club, and watch them keel over thanks to your weight. Your girth. Surprise boss incoming. Here's a fair warning for anyone with even the slightest bit of distaste for anything arachnid related. Remember the yokai engaging in Shibari Vor? Well, here they are in all their glory, the Tsuchigumo. The big-ass Spooderman boss is arachnid nightmare fuel, complete with two mouths for added psychological damage. The Spooderman boss will alternate between trying to vor you, trying to finger you, and trying to hook Tua on you, and it really wants to include you in the ritual of Yobai. The boss, however, is easily dispatched, much like the other bosses, with the tried and true technique of I truly cannot overstate the absolute power of the Chrysanthemum Blade. Surprise! It's a boy. The priest was the help me stepbro, I'm stuck as a tasty snack for later. He mentions that he could totally 1v1 the Demon King if he tried, but the Mao-sama used the new meta of casting spells to best him. Sumimasen, priest-san, why did the Spooderman not drop any lootable goods? Well, that's because he's no warden. He was a pre-boss to the boss. The real boss is the jailer, the guy who would presumably be running the prison. The jailer was once a bad guy. Now he's pretty much the bad guy. He's a little OCD with the way he runs things around here, so you can summon him by ruining his routine. Other than that, the priest returns to the tea house, where he can provide talismans for a price. Walking up the stairs, we encounter
Shit! A ghost!
These Onryo are floating spirits that are filled with one purpose. They're filled with so much anger, rage, and regret that they do not die, and they're simply kept alive through sheer motivation to quench their thirst for revenge. Huh, kinda like a certain Ashigaru we know. So the best thing to do is move past them. Much like the big Raga Stompa, they're pretty much just collision-enabled nuisances, chipping your health through cheeky butt smacks, or straight up stun-locking you with the 2-chump jump. Our objective is to hit the 4 bells to trigger the absolute fuck out of the OCD jailer, so let's do it. First, grab a hook for no particular reason. Second, run down this room that seems comically way too large to be structurally sound, and steal a rope from this guy just hanging out. Combine the two, head to the basement, and Hail Mary into the darkness. Surprise, a key. After, head to the warden's office and grab the bell hammer. Don't forget to grab the blade filled with anger and the Butsudan statue. That way, the big Raga Stompa can stop being a little crybaby about his pet rock being stolen. Now it's time to mess with the OCD field prison guard.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
After messing with his chakra, the jailer shows up, ready to square up. He comes at you calling in the Bone Boys for a jumping, but much like a middle manager at a Fortune 500 company, he's pretty useless on his own without his junior associates. Afterwards, we take a break to play soccer with his sack and take a moment to bury the light deep within. We steel ourselves for the final battle, the Tower of the Demon King. We come before an altar that demands income tax from us. Using 3 coins that we got from the wardens and a wooden coin that we've mysteriously had on us since the beginning, the door before us opens and we're invited to enter. Let me introduce you to the Tower of No Interval. The tower is simple. Big Rakastampa pops up, and he's mad this time. He isn't walking anymore. This time he's turning on the gents, and well, very simply, you should do the same. I cucked myself the first time against him in the staircase by trying to duke it out with him for old time's sake, and realizing he's absolutely pissed off and faster than me. Okay, let's try this again. Second time, we book it. We run up the Mario Infinite staircase for at least a good 3 minutes. And I gotta say, even though we're basically holding down the W key for 3 straight minutes, it's an absolute banger of 3 minutes. We reach the top of the staircase with our thighs feeling the burn, only to have to climb up one more set of stairs before meeting the Demon King. But before that, make sure you read the scroll on the table. Huh, sounds familiar. We scale the stairs and come across Mao-sama himself. Tsudima-sen, Mao-sama. I've come to beat the piss out of you. Ho ho, it's a mortal man, one in a very long time. Have you come to fight me with that broken blade with the other half stuck in your master? Want to cut me down a second time? Huh, that's a bit of a lore drop. Questions for later. The fight with Mao-sama is mano a mano until it isn't. Much like the supposed ambush our daimyo full sent into, the Mao-sama couldn't be bothered to 1v1. He summons floating skullboys to aid him, much like our jailer middle manager summoning his junior associates to do all this work. In turn, I decide to honor his shameful display by deciding to kill him with a non-samurai weapon. Tanegashima, my beloved, here's to disrespecting the Demon King by 1v1ing him on Rust. Our Tanegashima does so much damage it beheads him. As the Demon King's head rolls on the floor, we stand victorious over the Mao-sama, right before being bored by him. We wake up in a dark, spooky cave, with the only light peering in the distance as we had to wade through the Craigslist septic tank river. We reflect upon ourselves. Were we too consumed by vengeance? Were we the last warden, bearing some kind of burden? Guilt for leaving our lord to die? Guilt for striking our lord down? Why would he give his life for us? A lowly Ashigaru whose life is but equivalent to a single grain of rice. What did the Demon King mean by our blade was embedded in our lord and we were here to strike him down for a second time? Was our lord the Demon King? Are we the Demon King now? Questions for later. We now relax by the tranquility of the forest, enjoying a heartfelt thank you from the devs, before hearing the peace being disturbed. Perhaps a sign that we are still in some sort of hell, with the towers being our penance, and each time we are brought back from death, just to suffer more in the hells of repetition. So if it isn't 100% clear, I absolutely love Labyrinth of the Demon King. It's a game that's crafted with an amazing horror atmosphere, with a particular design choice that mirrors PS1 and 2 era horror games that I grew up with. The atmosphere is heavy, strong, and every sound and song just absolutely puts me on edge. It's not similar to modern horror games where the jump scare is the horror. Rather, it utilizes ominous sound effects, over-looming low-tone music, and dark, distorted environments to invoke feelings of dread, like, why the hell would I want to go into the executioner's rooms? Or narrow winding tunnels that feel like something is about to pop out of the corner ready to kill you. I don't know if it's a placebo, but I feel like walking around has a very, very slight footstep sound delay that just makes it feel like some yokai is following right behind you. You could have cleared the entire basement and it would still feel like something could be stalking you a couple of meters behind. The sounds and environments combine in such a way that it assaults your mind and senses. Even after playing a couple of hours and getting the general vibe of things, I still felt somewhat on edge with random sounds being played before that I've never heard. It honestly had me feeling at some points like when I was a young lad and during the night I had to go downstairs, or even worse, the basement, and all of my lights were at the bottom of the stairs. The yokai designs are very solid. A lot of them are just pure nightmare fuel, which definitely isn't helped by the PS1 style graphics and the cinematics introducing them. Cutscenes are in a grainy, choppy style, similar to the Siren games, and often emphasizes just how inhuman these otherworldly beings are. While the game does utilize jump scares like yokais popping out behind you sometimes at random, the game doesn't rely on them as a main source of horror. Labyrinth is more focused on the brutal nature of traversing through hell. For example, at the beginning we see the Spooderman kidnap a guy, and then we're expected to pick up the torch and walk straight into the darkness where we just witness the absolute nightmare feel happen. Or seeing our undead palico friends skin a yokai live for sashimi, or literally doing a puzzle that hangs 4 people set up by the Demon King to test our resolve. That being said, I do quickly have to mention that after you encounter a yokai once, the feeling of what the hell is even that fades and turns into familiarity and hilarity. As I've said it before, I absolutely find it hilarious that some yokai come to brawl with their favorite tea table or grandma's shoji because they couldn't find their tanto or katana, or the tiny rat men goofily running up to you like they're straight out of Gehrman's rat video.
Rats, we're rats, we're the rats. I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules.
That's not to say it's bad or anything. I think that that's just a part of any horror game, and I just wanted to mention it as a side note as I find them more funny than spooky. Combat can be as deep as you want it to be. Enemies have attacks that are parryable and attacks that break through your guard, forcing you to dodge. If you want to square up with enemies and learn their attack patterns, it becomes extremely satisfying to no-diff yokais like you're the avatar of Bishamonten. If you choose to save your resources and sprint past or attack enemies, you also feel like you've just figured out a PS1 cheat code to fighting some of the more difficult enemies. By the end of the game, enemies are no longer threatening as you've basically become the most threatening thing in the labyrinth. You pretty much get an overpowered katana that slices through yokais like Martin Yan dicing a chicken.
One cut, another cut, turn around side, one cut around, hold it back, hold it, distort, a whole chicken blood comes out, and a whole...
And you also get an infinite source of healing as long as you revisit the tea house. I do believe the dev is working on New Game Plus, and I hope a higher difficulty, as it would be a nice addition to the game to have a mode that lets the yokais be challenging until the end of the game. My personal opinion on the inventory and loading screens is that I really like it. I know it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea, having to open a menu and select a new weapon every time, or see the same door and stare cutscene at every loading zone. But I grew up playing games like Resident Evil and Onimusha, and I really enjoyed seeing those mechanics again. You might think that that's nostalgia goggles talking, and you'd be 100% right. However, take this into consideration. Most of the time, the Chrysanthemum Blade is the end-all be-all weapon. Pretty much there's usually no good reason to use any other weapon with exception of fighting the demon wiener dogs or the scary spooky skeletons. And even with that, sometimes kicks can be a solution against them, as feet count as blunt force trauma. For the jailhouse, I ended up using the Kanabo pretty much exclusively the whole dungeon because it's an absolute gigachad weapon that's absolutely satisfying to use. It's the most efficient way to kill the Skelly Boys. And lastly, I didn't want to keep opening up the menus to switch back and forth between the OP Katana and the Kanabo, so I ended up sticking with the Kanabo. I think having a quick switch weapon menu would definitely be a quality of life choice. But I also think that it would take away from the deliberate choice of choosing the best tool for the job and sticking with it. I do kind of wish the game had more enemy types that made me consider choosing more weapon types. The Naginata is a hybrid weapon between slash and blunt, but between the Chrysanthemum Blade and the Kanabo, I really didn't have a reason to use it, which is a shame because the weapons are all really cool, and I know the developer wanted the players to focus on choosing items for feel rather than chasing stats. Now let's talk about the death and revive system. My personal opinion is that it does have its flaws, but it's fine. There were some people complaining that enemies respawn every time you go through a loading screen or when you die, and that resources that you use during the run are not replenished. Here's my personal take on it. Resources are extremely abundant. Like, this is not a horror game abundant. I do kind of wish they toned down the amount of sake they give our Ashigaru. The amount they give is almost as if our character's circulatory system pumps nothing but sake through his veins. The enemies respawning can be a tiny bit annoying, especially if they pop up in your face after a loading screen, but I like that the enemies respawn for 2 reasons. 1, it gives me something to do. If the enemies never respawn and I Japanese doom-slayered everything in the levels, you'd find that the game would literally be a walking simulator. Labyrinth of the Demon King is a dungeon crawling puzzle game. If you took out the enemies respawning, then it just basically becomes a puzzle game. 2, it's actually lore accurate. If you read the in-game lore, you find out that pretty much a bunch of yokais are in the same situation as us, forever cursed to be punished because they were thieves, murderers, adulterers, betrayer of oaths, and the worst sin of all, people who don't watch their fucking language. It's also implied that they go through the same ritual as us, constantly dying over and over again, and being revived to relive their punishments once more. And a tiny note, you can always watch them smash each other's skulls in, or just run past them easy peasy. Death in this game is a resource. Anything you don't use, you get to keep. Any shrine you pray at is your new revive spot. And dying is a free healy wheelie. I do wish that there was some sort of punishment to dying in the game instead of getting a free heal. But I also understand lore-wise, as it might not make much sense, as this is your journey of repetition in hell. Every time you die, you are reformed as you were before, and you begin your punishment again. Overall, Labyrinth of the Demon King is an absolute stellar game that I can tell has had a ton of work put into it. I do very much appreciate the fact that the devs decided to stick to this style of homage to the old horror games. It made for a unique horror experience that I enjoyed throughout the game, and I would love to try it again should new updates drop, and I would highly recommend giving it a try. That's it for this video on Labyrinth of the Demon King. I do hope you very much enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching. As always, more to come in the upcoming weeks. Take care for now, Paisanos.